Hey there, friends. I was talking about a project that, for many reasons, was not very realistic. I mean, it was worth exploring, perhaps. Glenn was by right when I was uploading the last one. This is a continuation. I'm calling this Local Project Continued. And it reminded me of the earthquake issues. This building way in the background, by the way, that's a former Masonic property. There's a lot of former Masonic properties around. I don't know how earthquake proof the whole thing is, but I think they upgraded the theater part. The Hawthorne Theater's in there. It's a very special music venue. Lots of road trips come through, lots of buses with bands and stuff. And then the foregrounds, that's Alpha Helix by Julian, guy I know, in front of not in front of the Linus Pauling house, but adjacent to it. And there's Glenn giving a talk in the Linus Pauling house. That's a picture of Linus and Pauling and his wife Ava when they were young. Famous picture above the mantle there. And yes, that clock has some strange issues. So I'll just go through why I don't think this project worked a little bit, but also just mention that I'm still interested in the idea of, like, for example, Glenn has all this equipment for teaching lapidary and beads and so on. In other words, there are a lot of crafts and skills where you don't just want to turn kids loose on expensive or dangerous equipment. It's remember how we used to have vocational stuff and there used to be like shop they called it and schools would offer this and now a lot of that's gone. We only think everyone's going to become a machine learning person now. No skills. So that cross got me thinking, we could put a microwave tower there and that was so we could communicate with AMSA, you see. And we'd be teaching about all this infrastructure. How does microwaves work even? It's like, what's 5G? What's 4G? I mean, we need some relevance education. So you see, this would be a monster building to try to, I don't know why. I mean, is that going to fall down in an earthquake? That looks awfully heavy to me. I mean, when does the gravitational design, unless it's a 7 on the Richter scale, then, even metal reinforcements might not work. But I'm not the expert here. I'm just saying that was another thing that probably means why we couldn't do something like a code school. I called it CodeCastle. I thought that was clever. That beautiful labyrinth in there. It's worth getting in there just to get the labyrinth, right? Portland has quite a few labyrinths. I use it kind of as a logo. It's how I remember my wife a lot because she was an expert in labyrinths. She could lead workshops in constructing them. And the kind of the Celtic tradition there, or what is it? She was into Plantagenets and stuff too. She was very much into history. So these are pictures of the so-called ghost church, which is because it's empty, unused, vacant. Now in my blog post, I talk about how I was imagining a ministry of education in another abandoned building called Washington High School, which is where Linus Pauling, who we just looked at, actually was enrolled, and that did get refurbished. And I was mentally headquartered there. It was like an abandoned place with some art colonies in it. And when it was refurbished, one of their opening, um, they turned it into a theater in part. One of their main openings was a tribute to Buckminster Fuller. So that was what I got to attend. So that was really cool. And it's got what's it called? The movie director went on live tour with his movie and with a famous band, and they would play music while he talked about Bucky and making the movie. It was really pretty cool. Really pretty cool. So I know that under the surface, we do have what it takes to think ourselves out of a box here. By box, I mean like just a cube. That was the downstairs eating area that did become a coffee shop. And my daughter went to this school, which is nearby. That was one attraction. It's like you could go to school and then you could go to after school in this Methodist church. This church does have a cell phone tower inside of it, steepled. So the idea that you would have telecommunications on the roof of a church or former church, I don't think it's that blasphemous. Other churches do it, and they get paid to do it, right? So there's Glenn again. So this is a major building, right? And like I'm showing you, it's got potential maybe. Or are they going to just tear it down? I don't know. I wanted to like use it for teacher training too. Like it's not up to me to like stand above everybody and say this is what you should teach and this is how you should teach it. There's a lot of professionals out there, but as you've seen from my Calculator of Tomorrow videos, I think because the skill set is a moving target, and teachers need to be in lifelong learning. If you're a teacher, you need to role model what it is to learn. And it's not like, oh, I know all this now, I'm going to stop learning and just teach, right? I don't think a teacher can't be that way, because that's not role modeling what it is to be a scholar. Scholars always have more to learn. So teacher training just goes with the territory. It's not because you're falling behind in a sense of being unprofessional. It's that a professional is always catching up. So interesting place, this Methodist church. But what do the Quakers have to offer? Like, I don't want to put all the onus just because they have a nice building in the neighborhood. I thought it was a good idea, but it's not earthquake proof. I understand. And this church with the tower is not the same, right? It's a different church. That's the basement there. I just was setting up a Pi 3, Raspberry Pi. That's another thing that, kids need more than just a few summer school hours with, right? If you're going to get serious about learning the Bash shell and Linux and all the kind of stuff, that takes time. And what we're doing is saying, well, we're not really going to teach it in high school because we don't really have enough computer science teachers. We're going to offer AP computer science to some people, mostly privileged people with the better schools. And the rest of you're just going to have to go into debt. Go to code school after high school, and then we'll teach you this stuff, like how to read and write. Because today reading and writing is done on a scalable, it's done in a way that scales to industrial side. Like if you learn how to write in the industrial way on HTML, in HTML, and how to put it on the web and stuff, then your writing is world readable. Whereas if you just learn if you just learn paper and pencil, you don't have real writing anymore because it's not world readable. So reading and writing now requires a lot of new material, and are we teaching it at all? And so I have questions about that, and I think we really need to think seriously. I know that Herbert Walker Bush, he wanted to be the education president. Every president would rather be something like that, be in charge of Renaissance and be remembered for the change in the culture and how things got better. But I don't think presidents can really make that happen. I think people childishly go shopping for a parent every 4 years. It's like, I need a mommy or daddy to make the world better and give me health care and stuff. It's very much leave it up to those people, so-called politicians. They're going to make it all better, and all I have to do is just keep doing my job and leave it up to them. Isn't that their job, to make the world work? It's not my job. See, that's a problem. We're not giving people any space to innovate. Or if they are innovating, it has to immediately be in a way that makes a lot of money for some people. And then maybe they'll help you. So, I don't know, do you see a way? Do you see a way to take the design science revolution as outlined by a very established syllabus and turn it into something? This is more of wheelchair headache here. I mean, they did put a coffee shop down there for a while. And that's Glenn Glenn and I were both in on this, trying to get this project off the ground, but so where else can we have maker spaces? Where can we do coffee shops network where you can play games and give to charity? These are really, I think, excellent ideas. Just like the whole number of volumes is pedagogically, that's your link to the octet truss, crystallography, virology. I've gone over this in other videos. I'm just sort of trying to summarize and give you more of a sense of what we're sitting on here. I think a treasure chest of useful future memes. There's the wheelchair is, there was wheelchair access. There is a big ramp out front. I just think the problem was it was sloping a little too much in terms of modern codes. So, modern codes. All right, so I guess that pretty much covers it. It was an interesting experience, but I can do a lot just, over the web. Like for teacher training and stuff, I don't need a whole building. I'm doing it anyway, right? I'm on Zoom all the time. So, all right, talk to you soon.